Hey guys, welcome to the PlanTito Earl channel and I'm your PlanTito Earl. And today ang pag-uusapan natin ay isang very controversial and contentious yet very important topic only because it can potentially affect everyone in the Filipino plant community. Actually, marami na nga naapektuhan nito slowly and surely. So I do hope that you bear with me. This will be a long video because I'll try to be as comprehensive as I can. So, di na ako papatumpik-tumpik pa. Ang topic natin for today is plant scams. So yun, welcome and thank you for watching. If you're new here, welcome to the PlanTito Earl channel where we talk anything and everything about plants. And I'm your PlanTito Earl. So yun, thank you so much for watching and thank you for joining me today. This will be a rather lengthy video, I must say. And then yun nga, so as I mentioned, we'll be talking about the different kinds of plant scams that are currently happening in the Filipino plant community ngayon. Now, I think it's a very more than just as important as knowing how to care for your plants. One of the first steps that you actually take is actually, buying your plants. And it's very important to take note or to be knowledgeable about the plant that you're buying and who you're buying it from. Kasi it might end up in a scam. And you don't want that to happen to you. You don't want to be on the receiving end of that scam. So that is why I'm coming up with this vlog, because recently, lalo na because of the pandemic, people have been more and more into plants. The demand for plants has definitely increased. I want to say it's at an all-time high ngayon. There will be people who are quick to take advantage of this. And they know na they can earn a quick buck. Kaya nilang kumita without exerting any actual hard work. The main objective of me coming up with this vlog is to share the information to as many people as possible para makaiwas tayo sa scams. As much as possible, I want to give the right information about the different kinds of scams that are currently happening, whether it's online, from online plant sellers, or from gardens or suppliers of plants, things like that. And then we'll also be discussing the red flags of these scams that you should be taking note of para at least pag nakita nyo yung red flag na yun, alam nyo potentially scam to and you will still have enough time to do something about it. And then I'll also try to identify or possibly identify the ways that you can resolve these scams, lalo na pag there's still a leeway for you or pag may magagawa ka pa. I'll try to identify those things. Syempre, these are not the exact step 1, step 2, step 3 that you can do. These are just merely suggestions. If you know more about them, please let me know in the comment section below. And lastly, and most importantly, I won't be revealing the identities of these alleged scammers. So please be mindful na these are alleged scammers, at least on my end. One, because it's not my objective to expose them, to ridicule them, to embarrass them, or to have them cyberbullied, because I know that can be terrible. And also, kasi I want to be fair because I didn't get the opportunity to talk to these alleged scammers. Kasi I was only able to talk to the victims of these scams. So I'm not in the right place or I'm not in the position to make that judgment about these scammers or these alleged scammers. So please also note that every time I say scammers, I mean alleged scammers, okay? I'm not accusing them of anything. It just so happens na may mga na-victim sila. Hindi naman ako yung inatraso nila. It was the other plant parents who were able to experience this. Although, I will be sharing my own personal experience of a scam that I got involved in. Kumbaga, I'm not the scammer, ako yung naging victim. So now we will be defining muna kung what are these scams that I will be talking about. Syempre, I think you're all familiar naman of what a scam is. Dictionary definition of a scam, the noun form is, it means a dishonest scheme or a fraud. So meaning naloko ka in one way or another. Kaya you end up either nakuha yung pera mo or pangit yung plant na nakuha mo. And then the verb form of it is to swindle. Yun nga, it's slightly different from theft. Kasi theft, it's just straightforward na ninakawan ka eh. Swindling kasi may panloloko involved yun before ka nanakawan. So yun. So I'm not going to be counting plant theft also because that also entails another discussion on its own. Kasi either way, we all know naman that plant theft, or any form of theft is actually wrong. And in our law, it's punishable. Diba? So yun. So all the other things that I won't be touching on, the more major scams that are happening around that I'm sure you're also familiar with. One of them that I will not be touching on is plant poaching. One, because this will entail an entire video on its own, because it's just as controversial a topic, and it's a very detailed topic, I must say. Because may law kasi siya na nakaakibat dito. Ang hirap. May law siya nakaakibat dito. So I will need to consult with an actual lawyer, an environmental lawyer maybe, or someone from DENR or from the relevant government enacting services or agencies of this law, which is RA 9147 or Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act. Ako personally, hindi naman ako lawyer, so I am not the right person to discuss this law with you in full detail. Baka ang mabigay ko sa inyo is the interpretation of this law and not the actual blow-by-blow black and white details of this law. So, yun lang. So, that's why I'm not including plant poaching in this video. And I also won't be including overpricing. For one, I already did another vlog on this. I'll link it down below in the description, so please do check it out. I'll also put it at the end of the video. That's where I discussed kung bakit sobrang mahal na ng presyo ng mga halaman ngayon. And also, this is just my opinion. And by the way, there also might be I might be saying some opinions all throughout the video, so please do take note of that. These are just merely my opinions. You may agree or disagree with them, and that's completely fine. Because again, they are my opinions. So yeah, so going back to overpricing, also my opinion on this is there isn't exactly a suggested retail price or kumbaga a set price for a certain plant. So you can't really say that a plant is over or underpriced kasi wala siyang actual price na pinagkakomparean eh. Unlike, let's say, your other products na may actual SRP. So you can really compare, or you can really say that one seller is overpriced over the other kasi may standard retail price siya. For plants, that's not the same. So ang take ko lang naman dyan, when it comes to plant shopping, if it goes beyond your budget, just leave it. Yun lang yung gawin mo. So yun, so what I do when I think that a plant is overpriced or is way beyond my budget, pagtatanungin ko kung magkano yung price, and then bibigyan ako ng price ni seller, I'll just say, okay, thank you. And then that's it. End conversation. Just say, okay, thank you. Kumbaga, it's your way of politely declining the price that was given to you na hindi mo kaya or hindi mo kayang bilhin or hindi mo afford bilhin yung halaman na ino-offer ni seller. So now, I'm going to classify the two types of scams, or there will be two general types of scams that we'll be going through today. The first one is money-related scams. Now, these are scams that fraudulently get your money as a buyer or your plant as a seller. And then the next type is the plant-related scams, meaning these are the scams that involve more of the quality, the health, and the condition of your plants when you receive them or when you give them out as sellers. Again, I'll go more in detail on that. So basically, the methodology I used, I did a backyard research on Instagram wherein I posted an IG story question asking fellow plant parents about kung anong naging experience nila na scam or kung na-scamman sila and kung ano naging experience nila doon. And thankfully, there were a lot of responses that I got. So thank you so much everyone who responded. I'll be acknowledging you in the comments, and then also when as I share your examples of the different kinds of, unfortunately, the different kinds of scams that you were a victim of. And then, so kasi ako personally, limited lang yung naging experience ko or first-hand experience ko when it comes to scams. Hindi ko pa na-experience yung other types of scams that I will be discussing today. So it's great that I got first-hand experience or first-hand accounts from the victims of these certain scams. And I'll be discussing scams that both you as a buyer and as a seller. So yun, so ang haba na natin ng intro natin. I just wanted to make sure that I establish everything properly so that everything will be clear. So now we'll do part 1 of this 2-part series of plant scams, and we'll be dealing first with the money-related scams. So yun, let's start with one of the most common, the budol-budol gang. That's what I'd like to call it. I think it's a fairly familiar term naman to everyone. Although recently kasi medyo nag-evolve na yung term na yun to be something a little bit more positive than it used to be. Basically, si budol-budol gang is fraud. It's a scam. Meaning, niloko ka ng scammer in one way or another, whatever means that they used, para makuha yung pera mo. Ito yung mga the plant parents who share their experiences about being nabudol sila for their money. Let's start out with this one shared by Philodendron from Instagram. Ang shinare niya was free delivery na daw yung binili niya na plants. 2 pots ng melano and anthurium, and then nung dumating na yung plant sa kanya, apparently it was sent over to her through Grab. Hindi pa pala bayad ni seller yung Grab niya. And then nung fina-follow up na ni buyer yung payment for Grab from the seller, scene zone na siya. So that is clearly a scam. Kahit na let's say it's not as low or it's not as high, it's just the delivery fee, still a scam is a scam. Nanakawan ka ng pera, so you end up shelling out more money than you should have or than you expected to shell out. So that clearly is a budol-budol gang type of scam. It's a money-related scam. Then this next example naman from Halaman Heart. She's actually based in New York in the USA. She bought, ang sabi dito is, I have a plant that they said that they're going to ship in a week and was fine. And it has been 5 months, hindi niya pa nakukuha yung plant niya. Apparently, this seller is from Etsy. And then si seller has been giving out a couple of excuses to her kung bakit di pa dumarating yung plant. And by now, 5 months, kung sabihin nila na nasa shipping pa yun or undergoing delivery, just go. Don't expect that you'll be seeing a plant. You'll be seeing mulch. You'll be seeing na compost na by then. Apparently, nabudol siya. Hindi niya na nakuha yung plant na. She already settled everything and wala na. And then this last one is a perfect example of the scam that we're talking about. This one was shared by Plant Ahead PH, and we had a very lengthy conversation about this. And super thank you, Plant Ahead PH. I really enjoyed the conversation that we had when you messaged. She was super detailed about what happened, and at least in my perception, it clearly was a scam. And kasi the result speaks for itself, wala siyang nakuhang plant after this. So what happened was, apparently her sister saw this listing for a pink princess or philodendron pink princess, one of the most sought after plants these days. And apparently, because it's highly sought after, you'll expect that it will carry with it a heavy price tag. So yung sister ni Plant Ahead PH saw this listing of a philodendron pink princess on Facebook. It says na 800 pesos lang, or basta it's way less than the usual going rate ng philodendron pink princess. It was at 850 pesos. These were mature plants. These were big plants. Apparently, it was a scam, which I'll get to later on. And in Plant Ahead PH's sister's case, she saw that listing. Of course, she would think that it was a steal. And apparently, this is from all the way from Mindanao, in Jensan, I think, yung seller. And then, so the sister went ahead and placed the order. She was able to converse with the seller. And then, they went on to the usual online plant purchase steps. And yun nga, because this is from Mindanao, syempre may may additional logistical step pa yan involved. So they had to deal with courier delivery. So yun, nagsettle na si Plant Ahead PH with her payment, and then si seller apparently went na to the airport to deliver yung plant for shipping. And then ito na yung first red flag doon, when they were asking for pictures nung plans nila for delivery in the airport or in the cargo, walang mabigay na proper picture ang seller. They sent them a picture, parang bulto siya ng mga boxes supposedly isa doon sa boxes na yun yung plans nila out for delivery, pero wala silang exact proof na nandun yung plans nila. Like, at least picturean man lang yung box na nandun yung name ni seller, nandun yung details sa seller, na doon talaga mapupunta. Then another red flag that they saw was, they said that the airline that they were shipping it from was offering door-to-door services. The airline in question here, na hindi naman sila involved sa scam, was Cebu Pacific. And as far as I know, alam ko wala silang door-to-door delivery. That's not part of the businesses or the lines of business that Cebu Pacific as an airline has. Yes, they have cargo delivery, but that's from airport to airport. It's not door-to-door. So that's another red flag. And then when they were asking for pictures na, the third red flag here, they were asking for pictures nga of the biglang may excuses na si seller. Saying na nakaalis na po ako, nasa kabilang, di ko pa dala yung isa kong phone, ganito, ganyan. That's one big red flag that you really have to look out for. That's, you potentially, it can be a scam. Pag biglang madaming excuses yung seller mo. Kesyo ganito, may nangyaring ganito, may nangyaring ganyan. Biglang iikot-ikot na yung storya niya. Biglang magkakarambulan na. Bigla siyang may essay writing contest or gumawa na siya ng nobela niya. And then, another red flag that we saw here was that the details were kind of iba-iba nung chinek ni Plant Ahead PH. Si seller is supposedly from General Santos City. And then supposedly ang plants will ship out from General Santos City kasi there's an airport there. And then when tinanong ni Plant Ahead PH kung saan yung pick-up point nung payment, it turns out yung account nun, it was through GCash that she settled. It turns out yung account nun was coming from Zamboanga. So, di ba, parang nasa Jensen ka, nasa kabilang dulo, nasa Zamboanga yung mo. So, parang may mismatch doon. So, that's also a red flag that you should look out for. Pag may mga mismatch na details na ganun, pag hindi siya nagtugma, you just know that it could potentially be a scam. So, yun. So, unfortunately, after all of that, walang nakuhang Plant Ahead PH. She spent about 4,000 pesos. Well, it's now down the drain. Wala siyang nahita doon. And then apparently, this seller, may iba pang buyers na nag-point out na itong seller nga na to is actually a scammer. And then the photos that they provided were actually grabbed photos from elsewhere. So yun, so that's also one that you have to look out for. Although it's harder to verify if yung photos na yun were from actually the seller. Siguro one way to look at it, if you want to really check na yung sellers or the photos that the seller provides are legit or sa kanila talaga, check the quality. If all the photos look the same or they look like they came from the same camera, the same phone, then somehow medyo mas magiging kampante ka. Pero don't just rely on that. Yun nga. Pero pag alam mong iba-iba and then if nakita mo na tong photo na to before, you know it's a scam. So yun. So once again, thank you so much Plant Ahead PH for sharing your unfortunate experience. And again, I really had a great time with our conversation. So yun, so those are some of the red flags that you have to look out for. So in order for you to avoid these money-related scams when it comes to buying plants, one thing that you have to do is always purchase from more established shops. So do you really initial research or stock these shops? I'd personally prefer that I'm buying from an actual plant shop rather than from a person kasi it's harder to detect or it's harder to trace that person kasi anyone can just create a personal profile in just a couple of minutes. But in a page, if you see that it has a couple of 100 or 1,000 likes and then it has a lot of reviews, yun yung mga i-check nyo. Check for the number of likers of that page or of that person. Check for the buyer reviews, lalo na yung mga previous buyers niya. Check stock social media groups for possible complaints on this buyer or of this seller. So marami namang available na Facebook communities, for example, regarding plants, and maraming actively posting doon, lalo na sa mga scammers. So always do a good background check on your seller, especially lalo na kung it's a person that you're dealing with, not a page, kasi it's harder to trace that. Ang daling mang-block. So yun yung isa sa mga things that you have to look out for. So look out for excuses, or when things start to get emotional, always remember it's a business transaction that you're dealing with. This is just me. There's no room for emotions or emotional things when you're trying to buy or when it's a business related transaction. Just be as straightforward as you can. Yes, it's good that you're trying to build a relationship with the buyer or the seller, since that can potentially, for the seller, that can potentially be a return buyer for you. So you're building customer loyalty, kumbaga. And for on the buyer's end, you'll get the trust of that seller. So ikaw mismo, mas mare-recommend mo siya, mas more likely na bibili ka ulit sa kanya. And then ito rin pala, this is one of the errors siguro that Plant Ahead PH committed, which she also admitted. As much as possible, wag kayo pumayag na bayad agad or mauna yung payment bago yung product. Although kasi nga for online transactions, di maiiwasan yon. But as much as possible, try to make sure na maging kaliwaan siya in one way or another. If for example, you're ordering from elsewhere, from outside, let's say from your Metro Manila, and you're from Metro Manila and you're ordering from Visayas or Mindanao, make sure na saka na kayo mag-render ng payment pag na-ship out na and may nabigay silang tracking number sa'yo or whatever it is that's needed. Kung from, let's say, courier yan, LBC or JRS, dapat may mabigay silang tracking number sa'yo bago ka magbayad. Siyempre, kung within your vicinity lang, kung kaya COD, that would be great. Pero, yun nga, get the assurance of the seller, of course. Pag magbubook ka na ng Grab or Lalamove, make sure na humingi ka ng picture na nabigay na ni seller yung product or yung plants mo that's ready for delivery. So yun. And then lastly, yun nga, request as much as possible, request for proof of on the seller's end naman to, request for proof of payment. And double check the proof of payment kasi you never know, baka Photoshop to. And then on your end naman, usually if let's say it's GCash or your bank, online banking, may makukuha ka namang notification na pumasok na yung payment para hindi ka rin ma-scam ng mga buyers who are out there to scam people. So yun, so that is for the money-related scams. Sorry, paningit footage. As you can see, nag-shave na ako. And I'm in the process of editing the vlog right now. And I checked na I missed out this very important, probably the most important red flag that you have to look out for when you're planning to buy plants. And that very important red flag is, if it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. Now, it's not about you being doubtful or skeptical all the time about your transactions. Pero kasi nga, it's one of the most, I want to say it's one of the most effective or common ways na ginagamit ng mga scammers in order for them na makapag-scam sa mga tao. Kasi si scammer, nagbibigay siya ng isang napakagandang offer sa'yo, whether it's the plant, the price, lalo na like what happened to our example earlier, na sobrang mura ng Pink Princess at just 850 pesos, whereas yung usual going rate nun is usually in the thousands, sometimes even tens of thousands. So yun yung madalas na ginagamit ng mga scammer para ma-reel in ka. Kumbaga yun yung pain nila or bait nila para magawa nila yung black magic nila at maloko ka, unfortunately. So that probably is the most important red flag that you have to look out for. Kasi if it's too good to be true, it's a sad reality that we have to face. If it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. Now, it's just a matter of you being it's you being aggressive or rather vigilant when it comes to conducting transactions with potential scammers. Siyempre, at the end of the day, ang gusto naman natin mangyari is makasulit tayo sa ating purchase. So the best way that you can arm yourself with this is to make sure that you do your research about the plant, lalo na, and research the seller din. Yun nga, like what I mentioned earlier. Pero the best way to go about this is to research yung usual going rates ng plant na yun para alam mo na, or mas confident ka na sa bibilin mo, makakasulit ka imbes na maloko ka kasi ayaw natin mangyari yun. So yun, so that was kind of rather a handful of information. I hope you were able to keep up. So yun, so thank you so much for listening and bearing with me. I know this was a lot to take. And basically, again, my main objective here is try to spread or give information, at least that I know of or that were shared to me. So now I'm sharing it with you guys so that you also will be familiar of these scams and you will know how to prevent yourself from being scammed. Or once you're already there, you'll know what type of action that you can do para ma-resolve yung issue na yon. So, yun. Again, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in or for watching all the way to the end. I know this was a lot, but again, thank you so much. Do like and follow me on social media. I have Facebook and Instagram. Please subscribe if you haven't. Click the bell for notifications. And if you have comments or you want to discuss further the things that I was able to talk about here, please let me know in the comment section below. So there, thank you so much guys, and I hope you learned something new today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.